What if the idea that eating fat makes you fat is wrong? Today we test that bold claim with hard data, not hype. You will hear what leading scientists actually found about weight, cholesterol, the keto diet, and liver fat. According to the Journal of the American Medical Association and the American Heart Association, the truth is more nuanced than old diet rules suggest. We will also show how ultra-processed foods trick your appetite, as seen in a National Institutes of Health trial. Stay until the end for a useful bonus with smart, budget-friendly swaps. Quick disclaimer. This video is educational only and not medical advice. Your needs can vary based on health conditions, medications, and goals. Please talk to a licensed professional for personal guidance. Ready? Let us start by asking where the fat equals fattening myth even came from, and whether calories or macros matter more. The myth started because fat has 9 kilocalories per gram, which sounds scary, but that number alone does not decide your weight. The low-fat era pushed the public toward fat-free snacks and sugary foods, as described by the Dietary Guidelines for Americans and researchers at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. Obesity still rose, which tells us that total calories and food quality matter more than a single nutrient. Thought leaders writing in the Journal of the American Medical Association later argued that focusing only on total fat missed the bigger picture. As we transition to the next slide, let us separate the ideas of energy balance and macronutrient ratios so we can see what actually drives fat gain or fat loss. Weight gain happens when calories in are greater than calories out over time. That is energy balance. In equal calorie conditions, more dietary fat does not automatically mean more body fat. A team at the National Institutes of Health reported in Cell Metabolism Journal that when calories and protein were matched, switching fat and carbohydrate did not create a dramatic fat loss advantage. The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has shown that overfeeding any macronutrient can increase body fat. Although carbohydrate overfeeding can waste a little more energy as heat, the practical lesson is clear. Calories set the destination. Macros shape the ride. Next, let us look at the strictest tests we have, where scientists control every bite in a metabolic ward. In a tightly controlled study published in Cell Metabolism Journal by the National Institutes of Health, adults with obesity ate 2 equally calorie-reduced diets for 2 weeks. One plan was lower fat, the other was lower carbohydrate. The low-fat group lost slightly more body fat, while the low-carbohydrate group lost more water at first. Because glycogen stores hold water, the researchers concluded that over the long run, if calories and protein match, the differences in fat loss are likely small. This is an important clue. In labs where food is measured to the gram, calories dominate. But what happens in the real world over months, when appetite and habits matter? For that, we turn to large randomized trials in everyday settings. The Diet Fits trial, published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, followed more than 600 adults for 12 months on healthy low-fat or healthy low-carbohydrate diets. Average weight loss was very similar, about 5 to 6 kilograms in both groups. The authors emphasized that success varied more by adherence and food quality than by macro split. In other words, the best diet is the one you can stick to without constant hunger. If you are finding this evidence-first approach helpful, please hit subscribe so you do not miss future deep dives. Next, let us zoom out to meta-analyses that pool many trials to see big-picture patterns. A review in PLOS. One journal reported that low-carbohydrate diets can have a small edge, approximately 1 to 2 kilograms, at 6 to 12 months. A broader review in Nutrients found that by 12 to 24 months, average differences are small and often not clinically meaningful when calories and protein are similar. These reviews also note a lipid pattern. Lower carbohydrate diets tend to lower triglycerides and raise HDL cholesterol, while lower fat diets tend to reduce LDL cholesterol a little more. The message is to choose the approach that keeps your calories appropriate and your hunger controlled. Now that weight is clear, let us talk about the kind of fat, because fat type changes health risk even if weight is stable. People stay on plans that are satisfying. According to obesity reviews, meals with adequate protein, plenty of fiber, and minimally processed fats help control appetite. The Diet Fits authors in the Journal of the American Medical Association observe that lower carbohydrate plans often lower triglycerides and raise HDL, while lower fat plans often lower LDL. Choose the route that fits your tastes and schedule so you can sustain a calorie balance. A balanced plate of protein, vegetables, whole grains or legumes, and some healthy fat is both filling and flexible. With that in mind, let us unpack why fat type, not just fat grams, matters for your heart and liver. According to an American Heart Association advisory in Circulation Journal, saturated fat raises LDL cholesterol and apolipoprotein B, which are causal drivers of atherosclerosis. Replacing saturated fat with unsaturated fats like monounsaturated from olive oil or polyunsaturated from nuts and fish improves blood lipids. The advisory also explains that not all swaps are equal, which leads to a key idea on the next slide. What you replace saturated fat with changes your risk more than any single number on a label. Let us make that concrete. In Circulation Journal, the American Heart Association reported that replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat lowers LDL and reduces coronary events by roughly 15 to 30%. Replacing saturated fat with refined carbohydrates does not improve heart risk and can worsen triglycerides and HDL. Replacing saturated fat with whole grains or with monounsaturated fat gives modest benefit. The takeaway is to swap butter and fatty meats for olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fish whenever you can. Those are simple switches with big returns. Next up is the one fat that still deserves a hard no. Industrial trans fats raise LDL, lower HDL, and drive heart disease. The United States Food and Drug Administration effectively banned partially hydrogenated oils in 2018, and the American Heart Association urges avoiding products that still contain them in some regions. Read ingredient lists and skip anything with hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. This is one place where zero really should mean zero. Now, let us shift from nutrients to foods, because the food matrix and processing level strongly shape appetite and weight in daily life. A review in Obesity Reviews journal shows that adding nuts to diets does not cause expected weight gain, likely due to strong satiety and partial fat malabsorption. In Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology, Mediterranean diet studies with olive oil and nuts showed neutral or slightly better weight control over years. In a National Institutes of Health trial published in Cell Metabolism Journal, people ate approximately 500 extra calories per day on ultra-processed diets compared with unprocessed diets, even though nutrients were matched. That is powerful. It means processing and palatability can override fullness signals. Next, we will talk about how food form changes satiety, and I will offer a quick tip you can use today. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, liquid calories do not trigger fullness as well as solid foods with the same calories. Chewing and food volume matter for appetite control. The National Institutes of Health team that studied ultra-processed diets in Cell Metabolism Journal also noted faster eating and delayed satiety with soft, hyper-palatable foods. Build meals with protein, fiber, and a bit of healthy fat, and try to drink water or unsweetened tea instead of creamy drinks. If you are learning something new today, please subscribe. Your support helps us keep these evidence-based videos coming. Next, let us look at liver fat and why fat quality matters for non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. In the journal Diabetes, a controlled overfeeding study found that excess saturated fat rapidly increased liver fat and visceral fat, while excess polyunsaturated fat did not. Hepatology and diabetes care report that diets richer in unsaturated fats improve insulin sensitivity and reduce liver fat, especially when sugar is reduced. The message is simple. If you have signs of fatty liver or metabolic syndrome, cut added sugars and shift your fats toward fish, olive oil, nuts, and seeds. On the next slide, we will compare two real-world patterns that help defat the liver. Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology Journal shows that a Mediterranean-style diet can reduce liver fat even without weight loss, and more so with weight loss. Hepatology studies report that low-carbohydrate diets can drop liver fat quickly, sometimes within weeks, but the saturated fat load should be kept in check to avoid an unnecessary rise in LDL. Diabetes. Care supports both approaches when they improve overall diet quality and reduce excess calories. Choose the pattern you can live with and emphasize unprocessed foods. Now, how about blood lipids and safety on higher fat plans? The Diet Fits trial in the Journal of the American Medical Association showed a familiar pattern. Lower carbohydrate diets lowered triglycerides and raised HDL, while lower fat diets reduced LDL. A bit more. The Journal of Clinical Lipidology and the European Atherosclerosis Society caution that a subset of people on very high saturated fat diets can see large rises in LDL cholesterol and apolipoprotein B. If your LDL or ApoB jumps, keep the lower carbohydrate benefits but shift the fat quality toward olive oil, nuts, avocado, and fish, and add more soluble fiber. Next, we tailor advice to special groups starting with type 2 diabetes. The American Diabetes Association Consensus in Diabetes Care Journal states that reducing overall carbohydrate intake has the most evidence for improving glycemia in type 2 diabetes. Many people also lower medications when they lose weight and improve diet quality. Pair carb reduction with healthy fats and adequate protein, and monitor lipids and glucose with your clinician. A Mediterranean low-carbohydrate pattern is a balanced option that supports both heart and blood sugar goals. Coming up next, we will look at children and pregnancy, where fat plays a different role. The American Academy of Pediatrics notes that children need fat for growth and brain development, with an emphasis on unsaturated sources after early childhood. The National Institutes of Health Office of Dietary Supplements recommends adequate DHA omega-3 during pregnancy for fetal brain and eye development, which you can get from low-mercury fish or supplements. Reviews in the American Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology advise limiting trans fat and excess saturated fat while focusing on whole foods. In short, do not fear fat for kids and moms-to-be, but choose quality. Next, athletes. Does high fat help performance? The International Society of Sports Nutrition reports that high-fat diets increase fat burning but can reduce exercise economy at high intensities. Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise shows that carbohydrate availability still drives peak power and repeated sprint performance. Many endurance athletes do well with periodized carbohydrate and plenty of unsaturated fats for recovery and overall health. If you are not competing, the same rule applies. Fuel your activity, keep food quality high, and manage total calories. Now, as promised, here is your bonus with simple, practical swaps. Use olive oil or canola oil instead of butter for everyday cooking, as encouraged by the American Heart Association. Swap chips and cookies for a handful of nuts or a cup of unsweetened yogurt, which Obesity Reviews Journal links to better weight control. Measure oils and dressings and watch liquid calories, a point highlighted by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Build plates around protein, fiber, and unsaturated fats. Try canned salmon or sardines for affordable omega-3. Stir-fry with a measured spoon of oil instead of deep frying. Finally, prepare more meals at home where you control portions and ingredients. One more slide to wrap everything up. Here is the bottom line. According to the Journal of the American Medical Association and Cell Metabolism, calories decide weight change, not fat grams alone. The American Heart Association in Circulation Journal urges us to replace saturated fat with polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats and to avoid trans fat. Trials in Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology and Diabetes Care Journal show that both Mediterranean and lower carbohydrate patterns can improve liver fat and metabolic health when diet quality rises and excess calories fall. Your action plan. Choose a sustainable pattern. Focus on whole foods. Include healthy fats, limit ultra-processed foods, and monitor your labs. Final disclaimer. This is educational and not medical advice. Please work with a licensed professional for personal care. If this helped you, comment with the next nutrition myth you want us to tackle. Thank you for watching.